Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. We'll continue our lab, the Star Trek lab. This is the 18th video. I have been discussing in the previous video the following. We continue from the this is the 18th video. In the 17th video we have been discussing that we need to do something called or making a group policy to put the Columbia IT group or Active Directory group in the local administrators group in every PC in the Columbia ship. Why we do this? To give them full control over the PCs in their organizational unit or in their ship. The only group that is allowed to control all of the PCs in all of the ships and the main branch or in the Starfleet Command Center, or let's say this, the only group that can control all of the PCs in the main branch, if we consider the Starfleet Command as a main branch, and in the branches like the ships, the only group that can do this, it is the domain admins and the Starcom IT group, which is the IT personnel in the Starfleet Command Center are a member of the domain admins. Okay, so let me show you the graph here, what we are talking about here. This is what we have doing, or this is the Starfleet Command Center, which is the branch or the main branch, and this is the Starcom IT Active Directory group. This is the IT in the main branch. Okay, they have full control over all of the PCs in all of the different branches, okay, and the main branch or the different ships, okay, and the Starfleet Command Center. They are a member of the domain admins, so they are in the Active Directory domain admins, so they have full control over all of the PCs in the domain. And we have a separate group called Starcom Global IT. This group contains all of the IT groups in the different branches, so they are in this group. Okay, what we will do, so they are member of this group. Okay, and what I'll do, I need to put every IT group in every branch in the local administrators group in every PC in the branch, so they have full control over their PCs. Okay, this was done using a group policy. And I need also to have something here. I need to restrict, for example, this is the Starfleet Command Center. I need only the users in the Starfleet Command Center to use the computers in their branch. For example, Starcom All Species, this is an Active Directory group that contains all of the users in the Starfleet Command Center. I will restrict these users or this group of users to access their PCs or access the PCs in the Starfleet Command Center, and we will do this for all of the branches. So for example, this is the Columbia ship and this is the computers in the Columbia ships. We will restrict only the Columbia All Species group to access the PCs in the ship. Okay, this is a group that contains all of the users in the Columbia ship or in the organizational unit of Columbia. Okay, and the same applies for all of the branches. Okay, so we have done this in the previous video. We have done this and we tested it and it was successfully. And another thing, when we were creating, or this all was done on a PC that had joined the domain. Okay, and this PC, it is in the Columbia ship, so we have joined a PC to domain, and this PC, it is in the Columbia ship. And when we were creating or this PC have joined the domain, okay, this is a virtual Hyper-V machine. So when we created the virtual machine in the Hyper-V, we needed to do something. We need to take the MAC address of this virtual machine and put it in the allow filter in the DHCP. Why this? We do this step because we are controlling which PC takes IP from the DHCP by using the allow filter option in the DHCP. So for example, if this MAC address of this virtual machine, it is not put in the allow filter in the DHCP or the deny filter, it will not take IP address from the DHCP. So this is a way to control which PC takes IP from the DHCP. We have done this in the previous video, and I said before, we have tested the group policy to put the Columbia IT group in the local administrators group in the PC using. So we have done this. We have done the Columbia IT group. It is spun in the it is put in the local administrators groups in the PC, and we used a user called AI IT admin. This is a member of an IT Columbia group. So we, after doing this, or after putting the Columbia IT group in the local administrators group, in the PC that had joined the domain that we need to test it. We logged in the PC using a user called Columbia AI IT admin. This is a member of the Columbia IT group, and it was successfully. And then we have tested the group policy that will restrict Columbia all species group to log in locally to the PC in the Columbia organizational unit, and we use the user called James Kirk. So James Kirk, he is a member of the Columbia all species group. Okay, so we need to make sure that only the Columbia users can access the Columbia PCs, and we have tested it using a user called James Kirk, and it was successful. Okay, and at the end we have tried to do what? We have tried to use a user called Rom. This is a user in the Deep Space Nine ship. We need to see if this user can access PCs in the Columbia ship. We have done this and he was not able to access, so this is another test. And at the end we can see that James Kirk, okay, when we logged in with him on the Columbia PC, or the Columbia, one of the Columbia PCs, he can see our DFS. We have done in the previous videos 2 DFS, one for the old ships, okay, and he can see it, and the other for the Columbia ship, he can see it. These two are mapped as an M and N drive. Please refer to my previous videos concerning the DFS. And he also can see his Active Directory home user folder. It is used as L. So this is what we have done in the previous video. This video we will discuss another concept, or a concept that you have been working before but in the previous videos also, and we will return to it. What is this concept? Let's see this one. Remember that we have a file server, and this file server contains a lot of files, and remember that we have been working with something in the file server called classification of files. What is classification of files? Simply we need to tag the files, or we need to tag the files so we can easily search them on the file server, okay, and we reach them more easily. How we can do this? For example, we can tag the files by the location. For example, if these files are tagged according to the location where these files came from, for example, if I tag the files, if these files come from Columbia and I tag them by Columbia, so I can search the file server. The next time I tell him please search for files in Columbia, so he can find them easily. We can also classify files according to their department. For example, these files can be tagged, if they are coming from the IT, we will tag them as IT. So I can search the file server, tell him please give me the files that are originated from the IT department, so he can easily find them because they are tagged with the IT. For example, let's make another assumption. For example, if I need to get IT files from the Columbia ship, so I have two classifications and they are applied to all the files, so they are tagged, or every file is tagged with two things, the location and the department. So if I search the file server and tell him please find me the files from the Columbia ship and the IT department, he can find them very easily. This is one of the advantages of classification of the files, or tagging of the files with different attributes. For example, we can use these tags or attributes to control who can access which file. For example, I need to have a rule, for example, to make certain users access certain files in certain departments. For example, I can make a rule to control, or for example to make user only access files from the Columbia ship, the IT department. This can be done on this. We will apply it using in this video something called DAC rules. Anyway, in this lab we will classify files. Okay, how we will classify it? We will create, or we will classify files according to three things. Okay, we will classify files according to three things. We have done this in the previous video. We have been classifying them by location and by department or by species. Remember that we have done this in the previous videos, but in this video we will have three new classifications. So we will classify them by location, but I will discuss why it is different. Even though we have implemented it before, we will also classify it by department. Also, we have done this before, but I will say what is the difference, and then by the job title. This is the third classification, and all of these are, just a moment, files will be tagged with the location of the file and the department owning the file and the title of the person who will be granted access to the file. So these three classifications, okay, is different, or especially these two, the location and departments, in this video is different than the one that we have done before. So the one we have done before, we or how we do it, we go to the file server and then begin creating the classification, itself, and then we apply a rule to classify or tag the files. Okay, so this is how we do it. But in this video it is different. These three classifications are already in the Active Directory, so we don't need to go to the file server and create three classifications, location, department, and job title. These are already in the Active Directory. How is this? Okay, I will show you also. For example, the location, the departments, and the job title, all of them are in the Active Directory. So we'll use these attributes from the Active Directory to create our classifications automatically. So we don't need to go to the file server and create a classification called location and a classification called department and a classification called job title. No, all of them are already in the Active Directory and they are used. Okay, so what we will do, we will just import these three classifications from the Active Directory to the file server, so the file server can see the classifications, or it is created automatically from us. So what we will do, we will do a trick to get these three classifications and import them in the classification configuration in the file server. Okay, so where is the location? Located in the Active Directory. Where is the departments? Located in the Active Directory. Where is the job title? Located in the Active Directory. I will show you all a little bit of something here, just to make sure how this is how the file is tagged. It will be tagged according to three things: the location, department, and job title. So for example, here is the location, Colombia, the engineering department, and for example the one who will access it will be a captain. So I will show you all how this is or how we can find these three classifications or three attributes in the Active Directory. So if you go there, for example, if you open any computer in the Active Directory, you can go to a location, or there is a tab called location. Here is the location of the PC. So we will use this attribute, or we will import this attribute from the Active Directory to the file server. So this is the first thing. This is where is the location is located in the Active Directory. And we have two other things. We have something called organization. Just a moment. Okay, organization tab. So here we can see that there is the organization tab. Here we can see that there is something in the Active Directory called organization tab, the job title, the department. Okay, so we will use these two. Okay, we will import them from the Active Directory to the file server. So we will use these two and the location from the Active Directory, or we will utilize that these attributes are already in the Active Directory. We will use them and import them in the file server as classification, and then we will use these attributes to tag the files. So we will import this attributes from the Active Directory to the file server, and then we will use these attributes imported in the file server to tag the files according to the job title, the department, and the location. And then we will create DAC rules to limit, for example, here if I need, for example, that certain department, for example, I need a user in the title. For example, if there is a user in the Active Directory, his title is captain and he's from the engineering department, and he's from the Colombia, or his PC, for example, his PC in the Colombia location and his department is in the engineering and his title is a captain, I will make him access the file using the DAC rules. So how this is also applied, for example, if the user is job title is captain and his department is IT and his location of his PC, location, okay, tab, of his PC. For example, here the location of the file, sorry, location tab, sorry, I was here for a couple of minutes. Okay, computer location, so here it is. Okay, so here it is. If the user, his title is captain and he's in the engineering department, and this it is in his Active Directory user properties, and his computer properties, his location is in a certain location, I will tell him to access certain files that also are tagged by these attributes. Okay, I will show you all, don't worry. When it comes to the implementation it will be much easier, but let's go again to our presentation. So here, this is our files. We will have a classification rule created, or classification, a new classification of files. It will be classified according to the location, department, and job title. All of these are from the Active Directory attributes of the user, and we will import it to the file server. And at the end we will have this graph. We will limit certain location, certain department, certain title. Okay, how this is done? Remember, if you have a file, for example, this is the IT, the normal sharing process, this is an IT folder, I will grant the IT group, okay, full control over this folder. This IT group contains IT coordinator, IT system manager, IT assistant, IT manager, okay, IT supervisor. All of them are under, or are members of the group of IT. So they are members of this group, so they will have full control over the folder. So they are, because they are a member of the IT group. Okay, so here it goes. These are the files, so they, all of them will have full control over the folders. Okay, so the files, all IT group members will have full control. So what we will do, this all members of the IT group will have full control over these files, because the IT group have full control, so it is delegated, or it is inherited to the members, and it will be inherited, and these files are in this folder, so will be inherited the full control to this group. Okay, so this is the normal sharing process, but when we use the DAC rules we will use a different concept. So for example, this is the location of Colombia ship, and this is the IT folder in the Colombia ship, so we'll grant the IT group in Colombia access to this folder, and they will have full control. And again, we have IT assistant, coordinator, system manager, IT assistant, IT manager, IT supervisor, all of them are members. Okay, in this group they will have full control over the folder, and they have so let me show you all here a little bit of a graph. So in this folder there is some files, okay, that the IT group are given for control over them. So all of these members have full control over the files in this folder, but using the DAC rules we can do something here. Let me show you all. So we'll have 5 files, if we consider 5 files in this folder. So the DAC rules will enable me, for example, to control the level of accessing. For example, here I can specify that the IT coordinator can access only files tagged with IT coordinator, or only access files that tagged by his title and his department and his location. So even though this group IT have full control over this folder and all of its content, but when we use the DAC rules, only the coordinator will access only his file that is tagged with his title. So he will not have access to this one or this one or this one or this one, even though, as I said before, he have full control over the folder and all of its contents. Here we are working on the file level, not the folder level. Okay, someone tell me, okay, you can go to the folder and specify that the coordinator will have access to this file only. No, what if I have more than one coordinator? I have 5-6 coordinators, so I need to go to every file and give 6 Active Directory users coordinators access to the file? No, this is much better. Here I can use his Active Directory attribute as a title, or his title, to specify that he can only access this type of file. So here we can see that, for example, the coordinator will access only his file, the assistant will only access his file, the system manager will access only his file, okay, the IT manager will access only his file, the supervisor will only access his file. So here, even though this folder and all of its contents, IT group has full control over it, and all of these are member of this group, so they have full control. Basically, when we use the DAC rules, okay, we will only limit certain users to access certain files based on their Active Directory attributes, and we use these Active Directory attributes to tag the files. So here, if for example this coordinator, I go to his Active Directory attributes and change him from title from coordinator to system manager, he will not be able to access this file anymore. He will access this file. So changing any attribute of the Active Directory will change the type of access. Okay, so here we are using the Active Directory attributes to tag the files and to control who can access to which file. I will show you all this in this video how we'll do this. So here we're using DAC rules, using that every user with a certain title will access certain file. So here we are limiting that this user will only access this file based on his attributes. So we will tag the file that this only, or this file is only accessed by the coordinators, not any other title. Okay, and I said before, this is very useful because I don't need to do a group or a certain, or do a group and put all of the coordinators in it, or make a group and put all of the system managers in it and then give them access to the file. No, I can put them all in one group and then begin working on the file level. Okay, and this doesn't mean that I need to put every user to give him right on the folder. No, I just using his attributes to control his access to the files. Okay, so if I have 7 or 8 IT coordinators, I don't need to have every file open its properties and give every user access to this file. No, I need only to tag the file with IT coordinator, and then all of the coordinators or the IT coordinators will access this file. I will show you all how this is done in the graph or in the lab. So we will use the classification of files and use the attributes of the Active Directory to make the users access the files. So I will show you all how this is done using the DAC rules. So we will begin working here. The first thing we need to do, we need to have, I am taking a checkpoint for my file server and a checkpoint for my workstation before working with the DAC rules. Okay, so here first of all I need to show you all something here just to make it more clear. So here I have my, you remember that I have created all of my users and computers in the Star Trek local domain using PowerShell scripts and CSV files. So the PowerShell read certain attributes in the CSV file and create it. For example, I need the PowerShell script to create users, so I am telling the PowerShell to go to this Excel sheet and read the information from it and then create the users. So here for example I need to show you all a little bit of something. Here we can see that every user in the Active Directory have his title, so we will use this title to our advantage to control who can access the file. So we have all of our users are having title, so we don't need to type it, it's already there. And we have another thing called the department, it's already there. So we have the title and the department in the Active Directory, so it is there, we will use it and we import it to the file server. And as for the computers, we have another CSV file that contain all of the computers in the domain, and we use a PowerShell script to create them. Actually we will add another, so this column was not there. So when we created the computers using the PowerShell script, it was only containing the name, the path. Okay, so this is the computer and where it is located. As for the location, it is not there, so we need to add the location tab or type the location of the computer in every computer in the domain. So we'll use this also using a PowerShell script. So we'll make in our CSV file something called the location, and we will tap or we will type the location of every computer in every ship, and then we use PowerShell script to add this location to every computer. So we need to do this. I will show you all how this is done. We'll use a PowerShell script to do this. So let's see how this will be done. So here you go. We will create a checkpoint. This is something like taking a backup of the virtual machine. So I will make a checkpoint and I will call it before DAC rules. Just a moment. So here we will begin, or we will open our file server, and then we need to go and first open our Excel sheet or our CSV file that contains all of our computers, and add another column called location, because we need to have the location tab in every computer in the domain filled with the location of the PC, because we will use this later. So now we will go to the scripts and we will open the computers. Okay, and here we need to have a column for the location. So here this is the location of the ships. We will use it, so we will add a column. So we'll use this Excel sheet or this CSV file to add the location parameter to every computer in our domain. So here we will type location. Okay, and then we will put every PC. Okay, we will give it the location. So this is Colombia. Okay, so we'll tag all, or we'll have the location of Colombia added to all of the computers in the Colombia ship or the Colombia organizational unit. Okay, so here we need to put the location. Okay, and then we will do this for the rest. We will do it for deep space and all of the ships. Okay, so here we will add another deep space 9. Okay, so we'll make every computer we will have the location tab or the location parameter filled for it, because we will use it later to control. For example, I need some users to access certain data on certain computers in certain locations. So here we will do this. And I'll show you all how this, I will use a PowerShell script to add the location tab. So here I will complete it, so I don't need to bother you also. So here now I have added all of the locations. Okay, this is for the computers, and remember we have robots. Okay, so we will do this also for the robots, and we will use these CSV files with the help of the PowerShell script to update the computer location parameters for all of our computers in the domain. Okay, so now we will tell him save, and yes, and then we'll go to the robots also. So we have the robots. Okay, and then we have the location here. Then we'll do the same. We'll add also the location again for the robots. Okay, So we have Colombia. We'll add it the same that we have done for the computers. We will do it for the robots. And by the way, the robots and computers are the same, but for the sake of the scenario, I'm just imagining that the computers are robots. Okay, so here we will do the same. Okay, we'll do this also. So we have done this. We need to use our PowerShell script to update or to put these locations to all of the computers in the domain. Okay, so we need to do this using a PowerShell script. I will show you all how this is done, but first we need to save the file. Okay, robots, and save, and then I need to show you all the script. We need to apply the script. Just a moment. So here I need to go to the this is the script. So we will use a script, and then we need to tweak the script a little. So here what we will do, we will tell him to update. So we need only to update the location tab for every computer. So here now what we will do, we will change the script, or tweak the script a little. So we tell him to set, instead of new computer, the parameter will be set computer, or set the information for the location tab. So here we are telling him for every PC in the robots CSV file, please set the parameter of location with so here we need to work with this. So here I tell him to change it. So we need to tell him to just a moment, to set every computer in the columns of robots to set a location for it. Okay, so here what we will do, we will just remove the name and tell him identity and tell him the location. So just take the parameter as it is. So I tell him to set, okay, the identity of the computer, or the name of the computer. So the identity, it is the name of the computer for every computer in the CSV file. Okay, its name is so, put the location so as clarified or as set in the Excel sheet or the CSV file. Okay, so here we'll tell him paste, and then we will change the parameters. Okay, and we remove all of this, and we tell him only the location. So we remove all of these and put identity and then the location. So I will show you all when this is applied how this will work. So now we are telling him to minus location, so he will needs to know the identity or the computer name, and then he will know the computer name from the CSV file or the column of the name, and then he will go to the location column and then set the location for every PC. Okay, so this is it. We will copy it and apply it in the PowerShell script, or in the PowerShell program. So here we'll copy it, okay, and then we will right click and run as administrator, and we need to change the location from L to go to the folder that contains the script and the CSV file. So here we tell him CD, or change directory, to the location of the scripts folder, and then we will copy the script and tell him to implement it. So now when we implement it, we will go to the Active Directory and check one of the computer's properties and see if the location is there or not. So we'll see that in a moment. So I'm here, I will update, this is for the robots, so I will update the same script for the computers. Okay, and we will check both. We will see the parameters or the properties of every computer in the domain. So here we will save, copy, so here it is finished. You will do this for the, if you go and check the robots, for every robot in the domain, we will see that now. So if you go to the Active Directory and then saved and then Star Trek local, and then we go to the Starfleet, starships, if you go for example Columbia and go to the robots, okay, and check one of the robots, for example any one of them, and we tell him double click, and then we go to the location tab. Okay, this is the location, we can see here this is Columbia, it is there. Okay, so this is a very good sign, and we will use this attribute to control who access this PC based on the location of the computer. Okay, so I can tell that, for example, I need a certain user to access a PC based on the location parameter that I have showed you from a couple of seconds. Okay, so here now we are applying this also for the computers. So these attributes, the location and the department and the job title, will be added to the file server classification section. It will be imported, so we don't need to create them from scratch. We will only import them to the file server using a method I will show you all for a couple of, or in the couple of minutes coming. So here we go to the location. We can see that also the computers are having the location parameter filled. Just a moment guys, I need to see if we have passed the time. So this is 38 minutes, so we still have time. So here we have Deep Space Nine robots and computers, all of them are added successfully. The location tab, it is filled. So after that we need to import the locations and job titles and departments from the Active Directory to the file server. So we need to do this. So what we'll do, I think this is the okay, another thing, remember from our last video that we have made, or the previous videos, we have made a DFS for the Columbia ship folders. So I need to put NTFS permissions on the Columbia ship DFS folders. So this should be done. I didn't do it in the previous video, so I think I can show you all this here. Remember, I can show you all. Just a moment, don't save, and here if I go, I can go there and show you all this one. So this is the collections, and then Star Trek, and then this is the presentation one. So here, remember when I made the DFS for Columbia and this was the folders, I didn't put the NTFS permissions on the folders for Columbia. I have done this for all ships. This was the folders, and I have done the NTFS permissions and the SMB share permissions. But when I make the DFS for Columbia, the same folders were there, but I didn't put the NTFS permissions. So I need to do this. Okay, so I have a script. Okay, here it goes. This is the script. I need to put the NTFS permissions on the Columbia folders. Okay, so here it is. I have a script. I will tell him please apply certain permissions, NTFS permissions, in all on the subfolders in the data cube Columbia. Okay, so here this is Columbia ship. Okay, and I tell him to apply certain permissions for certain groups, okay, on certain folders. So this is, I need him to apply all of the permissions in the subfolders in the Columbia NX under data cube, and how he knows which groups to take which permissions from a CSV file or a text file. Okay, I will show you all this text file. So here we will go to the scripts, and then we have something called NTFS groups. Okay, so here if you can see here, if you just maximize the columns here, we can see that the script or the CSV file contains the folder that we need to have certain permissions on it, what permission you need, full control, modify or read, or list or read and write. All of these are permissions, NTFS permissions, and this is the folder, and here is the group that we need to have certain NTFS permission. For example, I need the Starcom IT group to have full control over this folder, or I need the Starcom high level users to have modify on this folder. So we have these folders. For the Columbia ship, we will distribute, or we will put certain permissions for certain groups using these columns, and the column use these columns as the permissions columns and the folder column, and these are the groups. So I will show you all how this is done. We will just change. So for example, this is the high level Columbia folder. I need the high level Columbia users to have modify on the folder. For example, this is the IT folder. I need the Columbia IT group to have full control over it. So we will do this. I just need to get the Columbia name. So here, just a moment, here I am filtering the groups. This is my Excel sheet that contains all of the groups in my domain. So now I will just filter it and get the IT group. Okay, so here is the engineering. Okay, for example, so here this is the Columbia engineering. I will take a copy. Okay, and then we will go to the CSV file. So here I am telling him that the engineering folder, I need the engineering team to have modify. So here the Columbia engineering group will have modify on the folder engineering in the Columbia ship. Okay, and we will change the permissions. So I need here the Columbia medic team to have modify on the medic folder, and so on. So we will change the permissions. Okay, and I need the Starcom or the main IT in the main office to have full control over all of the folders for the Columbia. Okay, so this is basically the NTFS permission script. The NTFS permission script, you need to tell him the location of the folders. So you are telling him that the folders are in location X, and you need to read a certain CSV file to know which permissions I need to have them on which folders. Okay, and this is very clear, crystal clear here. So here all of the permissions are done. I need all of these groups to have modify on these folders, the same way we have done for all ships folders. So now we are ready. We will save this Excel sheet or this CSV file. Okay, and then we will implement the script, and we will check if the permissions are put on the folders. So this I have missed when I was creating the DFS. So now I need to implement the script. So this is the pass. So I need these permissions to be applied to all of the Columbia subfolders, and which groups takes which permissions to which folders are in the NTFS group. Okay, NTFS group.csv. Now we will check and see if our permissions are applied. So now we will go there and open the Colombia, okay, and check, for example, the engineering in Colombia. We will see if the permissions are right. So here the security, Colombia have modified as it was in the text file, okay, and Starcom has full control. So now we are correct. Go to the global, okay, and see. So we have Starcom shared and then the Starcom full control. So the permissions are implemented successfully. Now we need to go and import the department location and job titles. These attributes to be imported to the file server, the section of the classification. Here we need to do something. Before you working with the DAC rules, we need to activate a certain option on the file server. So you need to have a group policy applied to the file server, and this group policy we need to activate in it a certain option so we can use or work with the DAC rules. For my good luck here, that, or it's not recommended that my file server it is on my domain controller, so I have a group policy called default domain controllers policy. So I'll use this policy to activate the DAC option on the file server. But if your file server is not on the domain controller, so you need to create a group policy and activate the following option. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll go and go to the group policy. Here I will use my default domain controllers, edit. So before using with the DAC rules, we need to activate the DAC rule options on our file server. This should be done to all of your file servers. So if you have more than one file server, you need to apply this group policy to all of your file servers. Okay, so now we go to a certain option. Okay, we have system, and then we go to the KDC, and then we need to activate the option KDC support for claims, compound authentication, and Kerberos mooring. Okay, so claims, it is the option that is referring to the DAC rules. So it is a claim. Okay, so working with the DAC rules, it is working with claims. So we tell him apply and okay. So now we have activated the option. We need to make this group policy apply or to be applied to our file server. So we will go to the command prompt and type gp update /force to apply this group policy. So just a moment guys, I need to see if we have passed the time. Just a moment. So here we have about, okay, so we will do the group policy and then we will stop there. So here we will update the group policy. Okay, so the computer is applied, or the group policy is applied. So here guys, I will stop at this moment. The upcoming, this is part 1. Part 2 we will begin working with how first how we can work with or import the Active Directory attributes to the file server and make the DAC rules and get or take advantage of the setup that we have done. Hope this video is informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much. This is the minute 25:26. Thank you so much.